Get ready for hanging out with us into the night. James out west, Pat the Stat Guy, Donnie D, KDUS 1060 Phoenix. All right, so we're done with the Russell Wilson chat. We're going to get in some NFL combine talk, some free agency stuff that has gone down the last couple of days. Some guys are starting to get paid. All right, so Donnie, kind of want to touch on you. Your thoughts on the combine. One, it's your third year?
Yes, sir.
Third year going to the combine.
Yes, sir.
What was your biggest takeaway as far as did anybody that you didn't – I mean, you know a lot about these guys. It's your job. Was there anybody that you were, like, excited to check out and see live in person that you were like, you know, from a Cardinal standpoint as, you know, for covering them, or anybody that you're like, oh, I didn't know that guy was that good, or that he looked that good, or he stands the part, or his interview was real good? Like, did anybody stand out to you?
I was really excited to talk to Marvin Harrison Jr. until that didn't happen. And I was excited to watch Marvin Harrison Jr. until that didn't happen either. Shout out to him. I have no problem with dudes not talking, not doing anything like that. I do have a problem with the NFL knowing they're not going to talk and having all of us kind of waste our time around the podium.
Oh, wow.
In terms of the Cardinals and who I wanted to see, I thought Roma Odunze had a really good interview. I heard he had a good interview with the Cardinals, and then he tested really, really well
Nice.
on the field. I was talking with somebody earlier today. I really can't think of anybody who, like, tanked their draft stock at the Combine, because normally every year there's a couple guys
you hear
where
something.
Yeah, there's just something crazy. There wasn't anything bad with the medicals. Nobody really interviewed that bad to where it made, like, you know, national headlines. And then the on-field testing, nobody really stunk it up, I guess. Everybody tested really, really well, and that's just crazy to think that, you know, you're seeing these, like, big guys like Chop Robinson from Penn State, the edge, the fastest 10-yard split out of anybody over 250 pounds. And, you know, you're seeing these bigger guys.
Joe Alt.
Yeah, Joe Alt tested phenomenally, too. You're seeing everybody kind of turn into these like athletes, whereas maybe like 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't necessarily the case.
Right. Now let me ask you, because obviously you're the entire week, was there a lot of any smoke screens that really stood out of people like saying
100%.
stuff? I
Yeah,
mean, there's got to be
the combine
every, right?
The combine is stop number one for any rumor you want to hear. Like, if you can imagine some kind of rumor or anything you want, it's probably being talked about at a bar, and, you know, between like podium sessions at the combine. I heard a handful of stuff.
Like Kirk Cousins' family buying a home in Atlanta.
Yeah, like Kirk Cousins. I heard the Bears' asking price for the number one pick and to move off of that.
Ooh. What did you hear?
3 number one picks and 3 number two picks as a starter. As a starter. Yep. Which, I mean, that kind of is like a FU price, right? Because I think the Bears know what they have, but at the same time, like, if you really want Caleb Williams and you really think he can transform your franchise, go ahead, pay up. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I tell you, so watching, there was a couple of records broke this time. I think the vertical was broken. The vertical record was broken, and the 40-yard dash was broken. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, because everything's laser timed versus, you know, hand click time. But I would almost think that, like, sometimes those hand click times might have been, when they hit 4.2, maybe it was faster than that. Like,
maybe in some cases,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
In some cases, like the hand time. I think that obviously with any of that, there's going to come a time and change. You being there 3 years, are you happy that? Would you want it to stay there? Would you want the combine to stay in Indy every year? Now that you've seen the Super Bowl in Vegas, though, would you want them to do maybe the combine in Vegas?
No, that would be a hellhole. I mean, Vegas was already a really. And I like Vegas as like a Super Bowl city, but to imagine like the NFL Combine there and just like the logistics of everything, that would be a nightmare. Indianapolis is phenomenal because they have the convention center where players do their interviews and stuff, and then, you know, the media work in the workroom, which is right across the street. Not even joking, like literally right across the street from the stadium. Fun fact, in the convention center, there's an underground tunnel that goes beneath the road between the stadium and the convention center.
That's how they move the players and stuff. Yeah, smart.
And then there's a hospital like right by the convention center for medicals and stuff. So it's like,
well, it probably brings money to the city too, with everybody coming 100%. In, all the restaurants being filled, all the hotels being filled. You know, all the service industry just getting a lot of money. There's a lot of juice that comes in during that week.
And I think two things really working for Indianapolis is, one, everybody is so familiar with it. Like, there's no second guessing. There's no questioning. Is this going to work? Is this going to not? I mean, tried, tested, true, whatever you want to use for it. Mm-hmm. It's already established. And then number two, like I said, everything is just so close together. Like, there's not a whole lot of like logistical nightmares that can take place.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we always give props to the NFL on how well they do at like keeping fans interested in the offseason, and the Combine's one of them, right? And I did hear this idea of like it's become a little more of a circus lately, so less agents are showing up. And obviously agents can make Zoom calls and call in and things like, but if it is becoming more of a circus, you'll have to tell me, since you've been there the last 3 years, like Vegas is the last place you want to take it, right? Like if you're worried about it becoming more of a circus, that's just going to, 10x it. So, but yeah, no, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, no,
you got to check it out next year, James.
No, 100%. It's a really great time. What is annoying, and I know people really get on reporters like me for asking, oh, did you meet with the Cardinals? Did you meet with X amount of teams? People want to know that kind of stuff, but the questions, like, for example, the nice gentleman who was screaming at Caleb Williams, right, whenever he first walked to the podium, Caleb said good morning, and then right away this guy's like, are you afraid to compete? And just attacking him left, right, and then you get the people, and, like, we only have these guys for 15 minutes, right, and there's just a whole bunch of people who want to get a whole bunch of questions in. And then you get somebody who got the players' attention. They're like, do you believe in birds? And it's like, what are we doing here?
This is not the time for that.
How did you get credentialed? Absolutely.
When you want to ask that question? Day 5 during training camp when these guys are tired and it makes them laugh. And they go, you know what I mean? What are we? We're Eagles? I like Eagles. You know what I mean? Yeah, so there's a time and place, which we saw that at the Super Bowl. And part of that opening ceremony is for that because the international people want to ask. It's the non-sports people. But the Combine, there's not really non-sports people. Like, I don't think teams.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah, there shouldn't be. Super Bowl, I understand. I understand there being, yes. But the Combine, that's really for the
nerds, the
football
geeks.
Yes,
Were
absolutely.
you anywhere close to Xavier Worthy's 4.21 or in the 40s and all that?
In terms of watching it or running it? Cause
watching it, not running it.
Neither to both. Neither to both. So I was telling James before we got on, the Combine as a media member, actually watching it in a stadium is so much different than like the viewer experience on TV, right? Because you're watching it on TV, you hear Rich Eisen, Daniel Jeremiah, Ian Rappaport, all of those guys just talking while the players are going through the drills. You can see who's doing what. You see who's coming up. You see all the times. You're in the stadium. You're in like a section off, like to the side in the lower bowl. Silent. You hear the PA announcer say who's doing what. And then that's it. They do have
whistles.
They do have the NFL Network broadcast on like the big screen, but it's just I was shocked at how different the experience was. That's one of the few things where I really truly believe it is so much better on TV than being there in person.
Well, the NFL's good at that. The NFL's good at the TV experience.
And shout out to Rich Eisen because he does a great job. Yeah,
you know what I mean. They do a wonderful job.
Did you see that one where that tight end caught a ball and then kept running with it? Like that, because again, you're listening to it on TV, and so like they're describing it. It does make it that much more fun watching it on TV. But like the guy, what is it, Dalen? I don't know. Holker, a tight end, caught a ball. Thought it was the end of the drill. Didn't realize it. So keeps running. Another ball comes. He's got the ball.
The second ball came quick. Hey, the second ball came fast.
I'm totally doing the wrong arm.
Was that the gauntlet where they were?
Yeah. So like doing that, and when he caught the one to his right, he didn't even get a chance to turn, and the other one was already being thrown. I think the one coming came early.
So yeah,
like caught it, didn't have time to turn to throw it down, and it was there, and he just cupped it and grabbed it with the other one. It was a nice play.
It's probably going to help his draft stock, right?
We're talking about him. You wouldn't be talking about him anyways. There's no tight ends we're talking about, so it was a great play. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so real quick here before we get into FA free agency and all this stuff. Shout out to, and I don't do this often because I don't really like to recognize the team up north, but he played for the Browns, which made it hard. But Braylon Edwards stopped an attack of an 80-year-old woman at a workout facility, and that the suspect has been arrested and charged with attempted murder. Like he legitimately, and he was very calm about it. It was a great little spot. I don't want to give it all up, but if you get a chance, go check it out. But hey, good people do good things at times, so I like to shout out Braylon Edwards of the team up north. All right, so
good job, Braylon.
Let's talk about big receivers because Braylon was a big receiver. Mike Evans. So Mike Evans, was he lying when he said, "Hey, I've got 3 criteria for myself when it comes to free agency, and it's in an order of importance. Number 1, chance to win a Super Bowl. Number 2, quarterback, and number 3, money." Well, he signed a 2-year to stay in Tampa Bay, who they don't know who their quarterback is, and I don't believe that he feels that they're a Super Bowl contender. So was he lying, or was he just saying some stuff to make sure Tampa Bay paid him? Both. So you didn't really want to leave?
I mean, 2-year, $52 million, $35 million guaranteed. That's 35 guaranteed reasons for me to stay. So
okay.
And like he's already got the Super Bowl, right? He won it.
That's what I was saying. But to come out and have to say that, I mean, he could have said, "I just want to be here, and they know they want to pay me my worth." Like, I just thought that was interesting because they don't have a quarterback yet. And Baker has said, you know what, that's smokescreen. I'm not giving any hometown discounts. Other teams are interested in Baker.
I mean, look, like third contract for Evans averages $26 million per year, the largest for a receiver that old on his third contract, according to ESPN. It's a front-loaded deal, $29 million with a $44 million base value due at the signing. I mean, And, like, he got paid, but like the Buccaneers
It's
also
friendly for
didn't-
them, too.
Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you what, I'll take Baker in Minnesota over Russell.
I would too. I would too.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what. When it's interesting when you talk about Mike Evans. You know what? He's had X amount of 1,000 yards seasons in a row. I think he's at 96 touchdowns in his career. So he averages 10 years, 96 touchdowns. So he averages almost 10 a year. He averages over 1,000. He averages over 85 catches a season. Like, you want to talk about a prolific and consistent performer who's gone through the likes of, at the peak quarterback play, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. At the worst quarterback play, Jameis Winston, 30-30 year. I mean, he had a great year, but the team was terrible. Like, he's gone the gauntlet, and now he has something with Baker that they would like to be able to keep together because that division's up for grabs. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, when you listen to the younger generation talk about Mike Evans, like, they have so much respect for him, and that's all you got to listen to is listen to how his peers talk about him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, James, like you said, he reached 1,000-yard receiving for the 10th straight year this year, an NFL record for the start of a career, and one shy of tying Jerry Rice.
Yeah, see, just another record that'll topple of the greatest receiver of all
And he's
time.
only 30, so it's not like he's like Jerry Rice on the Seahawks or anything, you know?
Now, let me ask you a question because this one tripped me out. So, franchise tag, L'Jarius Sneed for the Kansas City Chiefs getting franchise tag with the hopes of giving him a deal. But franchise tag is like what, 20?
Cornerback, it's $19.8 million, but they were just making sure he didn't leave for nothing. That's basically
My
what
goodness,
that
is a lot of money.
Yeah, I think Albert Breer said that they wanted a second-round pick for him, and Seed wanted over $20 million.
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen. All right, so on the other side of the break, more free agency talk, more NFL and NBA. You guys are listening to James Out West on KDUS 1060 Phoenix. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Just search James Out West AZ. And always JamesOutWest.com for more sports, entertainment, and shenanigans. Make sure you guys come on back. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. James Out West into the night, KDUS 1060 Phoenix. Pat the Stat Guy, Donnie D. What a nice little surprise this is to have him in studio, bringing all the knowledge. All right, so we were going to get into more free agency talk, but you know what? The show's about to end here in the next little bit. So we're going to just jump right into the NBA. We were talking about, obviously, now before we get into the Suns and the struggles and everything that are going on, let's talk about LeBron because we were talking about in the break, he's the only player over 40,000 points. Pat was pointing out maybe he doesn't know if he'll be the only player over 40,000 points to get that. Maybe a Luka, maybe a Wemby.
Maybe someone we don't even know about.
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody's not born.
I think if it's going to happen, it's maybe somebody that's not even in the NBA yet. And that's not to say that, Wemby has the potential because he's young and he puts up a lot of points. Luka, obviously, but he's got a lot of, miles on those legs. And, I don't know what he's going to be like at 38, considering I think he's only like 24. Like, how old's Luka? I think he's 24 or 25. I know it seems like he's older than that, but I think he's relatively really young.
Yeah, no, I feel like he just turned 25.
Yeah. So, like, he's got a lot of time, but he's 25. What's another 10 years look like on Luka? I feel like that's a lot of miles.
I know what you're
That's
saying.
6 years behind LeBron. And LeBron's been nothing but consistent of over 22 or 23 points a game for his career, essentially. Like, to do it at that level and consistent.
I kind of think of like Ricky Rubio as far as like playing that long. Ricky Rubio was a pro since he was 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like, and he's retired. I mean, it might be for some other reasons, but like still, like LeBron, the longevity that you have to have is insane. It reminds me of Jerry Rice. Sorry,
which is true. Hey, I'll give him that. Yeah. I'll give him that. He was that for sure. But just watching what he's doing. But here's what I was getting at, and we talked about earlier with Steph and LeBron. If they want to play with each other, they could go somewhere or meet up. Because here's the thing, and I was bringing it up, the staples of the West in the last forever, the Lakers, Golden State. The Suns to an extent, just because we're local here, but being competitive in the run to make the playoffs, those are the last three teams at the bottom of the list here, like in the West. Like those juggernaut teams with all the star power at the bottom of the list, and one of them has a real good shot of not making the playoffs. One of the three, I'm going to go on a limb and say there's a 90% chance that one of those three don't make the playoffs. I can't imagine it being the Suns, but that'd be the biggest letdown because of all the firepower. The Lakers or maybe Golden State after what happened with them. But to see that happen,
I mean, there's like 20 games left. The Lakers are the 10 seed. They're 10 games back from first, but they're 5.5 over the 11th seeded Utah Jazz. I mean, a lot of stuff would have to go wrong.
But, okay, but they're getting into the play-in. That's still not the playoffs.
Okay,
like,
sure.
Are you in the top 8? Are you moving on to play a game, a 7 series, or you know what I mean?
Well, still, like,
top
even if
6?
they get 10th, right, and they're in the play-in, like, I do like them in that kind of situation over, like, the Warriors from what we've seen them lately. So, like, I think, if obviously one of these teams is – I think the Lakers can get beyond the play-in. Like, I don't have a ton of hopes for them. Like, I don't think they do well, match up well against Denver specifically. And but yeah, like, yeah, I think the Warriors look the worst right now. They
do, absolutely, especially what happened in Boston over the weekend. And obviously they were on a 4-game, I think they went on a 4-game road trip. They, a lot of them were like, well, they want to go 2-2 or 3-1. They were already 3-0 going into that game, coming off of, and of course we're going to hear now, coming off of a back-to-back or 2 and 3 days or 4 and 6 days. It's like, oh yeah, it's a road.
Is that Draymond? No.
Do you know what? A flight from Detroit to Boston. Oh my, hour and 45 minutes. Suck it up, bub.
Yeah.
Oh, we got blown out, so we're playing 17 minutes, and you gave up at the half. I mean, as a Celtics fan, good. We blew you out. I don't care if Steph Curry doesn't play.
140 to 88.
That doesn't bother me. But for them to just to mail it in, essentially, and which kind of goes back to the whole Steve Kerr thing, because, yes, they've got these championships and he's got this great mind, but that Warriors team was on their way before he got there with Mark Jackson. When he was out because of when he had back surgery or something, and Luke Walton took over for the first half of the season, he had like the greatest first half as far as record in NBA history. So that team is kind of on autopilot. When you have the grades, you can do that. So, yes, you got to manage those egos. Yeah. But now we're seeing that he obviously can't manage those egos and hasn't been able to the last couple of seasons, because Draymond does whatever the hell he wants. Yep. Clay pouts, and Steph just throws up what he throws up. Yeah. So I'd be worried about them, and they should be. And their run is probably over, as it should be. There's room for this Denver team looks like they could be around for a while. You got an Oklahoma City team that's really young, that doesn't know anybody, that has a killer in Shy. You know what I mean?
The Timberwolves running that big lineup a half game back,
which everybody joked about, including myself, that how is that going to work with all these guys on the floor, and they have figured it out. It took time. They figured it out. Well, a lot of that's
Anthony Edwards.
A lot of that's Ant, who showed up late today and had to come off the bench because he was late to the game.
Yeah.
So
I just want to do a little Lakers check-in. I'm not going to talk about them for too much, but like you said, because I am a little worried about them too. It's Golden State and the Lakers that, those two might be out of it, right? And you brought up their differential. Right, when you look at these top 10 teams, it's gotten worse. Oh, it was a half point, and then it got up to point, under negative 0.4 or whatever, and then now it's over half a point again. But again, that does kind of worry me, right? You have to outscore your opponents.
It stands out when you have the top 10 teams in the West. Their point differentials, they're all in the positive, but one team, and that one team is the Lakers. That's a bad look. And for the Suns, I mean, the struggles of what you said, they were 2-4 in the last 6.
Yes, sir. After the All-Star break.
After the All-Star break, they're 2-4. They've lost to Houston, who's not they're a scrappy team, but they're not a good team.
Yeah.
So you lose to them. They 118 to 110 and 118 to 111 in back-to-back games. Essentially, OKC's better. Obviously, we know this. Mm-hmm. But when you've got those guys, you got to be able to hang with them. You got to be able to beat that team. If you want to have a chance at winning a championship, you got to be able to beat that team. And yes, Nurkic with his 31 rebounds, 10 in the first quarter, basically, tremendous. But they can't figure it out to get it together. And now Book's down for 10 days.
Yeah, those are 2 different games.
He's down. I know. I'm just saying, but just either way,
I think it was a lot to ask these guys to win the NBA Finals in this first year. I mean, new coach, entirely new staff, 3 stars that collectively together, all 3 of them have never played with each other.
I agree.
Role players that are still kind of finding their piece of the puzzle.
Agree.
This never happens. I mean, look at the teams that have previously won the NBA Finals and how much that continuity plays a big factor into it. Now,
but let me tell you, yes, sir. Sorry. When the Cavs got LeBron and all those together, they were still number 1 in the East. They didn't win a championship, but they were number 1 in the East. When he went to Miami, they were, number 1, number 2 in the East and went on. So, they didn't win a championship right away. Sure. But when you have that kind of talent, you shouldn't be the 7 seed.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I was going to say,
sure.
Think back to when we were watching the Suns in the playoffs last year, right? And it was definitely the Devin and Kevin show, right? And then we're like, where's their bench? This bench is non-existent. They seem to have the pieces right now. Again, I'm not expecting them to go win a championship this year. I think that's a lot to expect. But when you go see Nurkic get 31 rebounds, he's a better fit than DeAndre Ayton ever was.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? And they do have some shooters off the bench and some very versatile players. So they're much improved from last year. You got to applaud the Suns, but they have not put it together to where you go, they're going to put it finals run on.
No, 100%. I think all of the moves they made leading up into the offseason, even at the trade deadline, all of them were good moves. I respect everything that Matt Ishbia, James Jones, and everybody else has done with the organization. You needed to put your chips all into the middle of the table. And they were banking on their 3 stars staying healthy and then role players stepping up. Neither of the 2 have coincided with each other at the same time at all this year.
Nope.
Right? And then, like you pointed out, Devin Booker out for probably the next 7 to 10 days, according to Shams Charania. They just cannot get it together, man. And when your stars can't stay healthy and your role players can't make open shots, even whenever the stars are healthy and they're spreading out the floor, that's a problem.
Well, what's crazy is, 4 years ago, they were in the NBA championship up 3-1, and they've gotten significantly worse with better players.
Better continuity.
But think about that. Think about that. Their
better.
talent is better now than they were then.
On paper, 100%.
And yet, this team is in jeopardy of not making the playoffs. That team blew a 3-1 lead to win an NBA championship to one of the greatest players of all time in Giannis.
So there's 2 players with 31 rebounds in the 21st century. Yusuf Nurkic, and who's the other one?
21st century? Dennis Rodman?
I mean, recently, yeah. That's how this article has it.
Okay.
It's your boy, Kevin Love, 31 rebounds.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
He was a beast off the boards. And then Andrew Bynum had 30. Dwight Howard and Enes Kanter also.
Wow. Yep. Enes Kanter.
I know,
That's
right?
a name from the past. And then real quick, obviously, the New York Knicks without Julius Randle, they lose Jalen Brunson in the first 47 seconds of a game on the road in Cleveland, and they still beat the Cavs. The Cleveland Cavaliers look soft. They look soft against the Knicks. They got beat in the play. They got out physical last year in the playoffs against the Knicks. The Knicks beat up on them so much so that Josh Hart, that's right, L.A. Laker legend Josh Hart, got 19 rebounds against the Cavs when both Evan Mobley and Jared Allen play. That's a problem because those two guys are 7-footers and they're supposed to protect the rim. And he so much so, bro, he hit a three-pointer on the sideline in the Cavs sideline, walked over and flipped Donovan Mitchell's necklace and chain off his chest, and nobody did nothing about it. They all smiled and laughed. Down 10. Can't have it. Can't have it. Can't have it. These 80s players, Rick Mahorn is rolling over in his grave. I'm so upset about it because, dude, we're going to be out in the first round. It's so upsetting.
Anytime someone kind of disrespects you, in old school baseball, you want to give them sore ribs. We were talking about this, man. I can't believe the NBA is getting a little soft.
I would go down. Go down and I'd get a hard, flagrant one away because I'm going down and I'm hacking him.
Who got a technical foul on the bench last night for not talking to a referee and answering the question?
Oh, I don't know.
Some player went to the bench, refused to talk to a referee during a timeout, and he got teed up for it.
Oh, wow.
Because he said nothing.
Okay, maybe the refs are softer than players.
Oh, we do. Hey, actually, Rasheed Wallace got one for just staring at a ref once.
Tim Duncan?
Yeah.
And you know who gave him that? By the way, I saw the video. Tim Donaghy. So tell me there wasn't money on that game. All right, everybody. So you guys been listening to James Out West on KDUS 1060 Phoenix. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at James_Out West, IG James Out West _ and at Pat the Stat Guy and at Donnie Druin. Check him out at Sports Illustrated Fan Nation for all your Cardinals and all your Suns needs. Best writer in the biz. Make sure you guys have yourself a wonderful night. Anything else, boys?
Nope.
No, sir.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
See you guys next week. One love.
Peace.